plants need nutrients like nitrogen and phosphorus to grow. Here in Central Florida, plants have adapted to need more nitrogen than phosphorus. 20 years ago, scientists at Buck Island Ranch added fertilizer, or extra nutrients, to different plots of land to see how they would affect plants. For my project, I'm going back to those plots 6 years after they stopped adding fertilizer and looking to see if nitrogen and phosphorus fertilization is still evident in the soil. If the plants didn't use all of the nutrients, they can remain in the soil and we can test for them. I predict or hypothesize that we will see more phosphorus remaining in the soil than nitrogen, since we know that plants need more nitrogen than phosphorus. Alright, let's go have a look.
The first thing we do in the field is label all our collection bags for the samples with the date and a unique ID number. Next, we need to collect our samples. I always make sure to clear away the vegetation, that way we minimize the amount that is included in the sample. Then I push this special instrument, called a soil corer, into the ground and twist. We want to collect the same amount of soil at the same depth each time, so I drew a line on the soil corer for 15 centimeters deep. Then I back up the soil and move to the next site. I sample a total of 12 sites in this pasture, and now that I'm done, we can pack these up in the cooler and take them back to the lab. Alright, now that we've got our soil samples, we're going to go through the steps of how to analyze them. The first step that you want to do is sieve your soil, which is basically putting it through a fine mesh to get any big roots out. So you can see, it kind of looks like what you'd put your pasta through. This one's dirty because I already started. So you'll take your soil and dump it in. Now we're going to shake the soil back and forth so that we can take out things like big pieces of grass or roots. So at the end we just have soil. If you've got big clumps, you can push them and break them up with your fingers to go through the mesh. Now that we've got our sieved soil samples, I'm going to be taking you through one sample of how we test for nitrogen and phosphorus. First, we're going to weigh out the soil, and then we'll be adding acidic solutions to these cups. So we'll have one for phosphorus, one for nitrogen. Now that we have our samples weighed, we're going to add a different type of acid to each sample cup to determine the nitrogen and phosphorus levels. When working with chemicals, you want to wear safety equipment like gloves, and we will set our acid to 20 milliliters. Perfect. We'll do the same with the phosphorus and a different type of acid. In this step, we're going to extract the nitrogen and phosphorus by putting the soil in acid solution through a funnel, and just liquid will come out the bottom. Come take a look. Now I'm adding our 2 filtered samples to 2 microplates. Anytime I use a different solution, I make sure to change the tip of my pipette so I don't contaminate samples. I add an indicator solution to our sample, which reveals when phosphorus is present. The color shows a reaction has taken place. I do the same process to test for nitrogen as well. After that, we put it in a fancy machine called a spectrophotometer, and it tells us the concentration of phosphorus and nitrogen based off of the color. Now that we have our concentration of nitrogen and phosphorus in our soils for this year, I'm going to compare the data to previous years. Thanks so much for watching!